The night Elena Reyes realized kindness could be dangerous began like every other bad night of her life, quietly, invisibly, and under fluorescent lights that made exhaustion impossible to hide. The bar was called the Crimson Glass, a place where wealthy men came to forget their morals and powerful people pretended to be ordinary. Elena worked there 6 nights a week, serving drinks she could never afford while smiling through insults she didn't deserve. At 23, she already carried the tiredness of someone twice her age. Her mother's medical bills filled her small apartment kitchen table. Her younger brother depended on her. College had become a forgotten dream replaced by double shifts and aching feet. And tonight, her manager was already angry. "Elena," Marcus snapped from behind the counter, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. "VIP guest arriving. No mistakes." She nodded quickly. Mistakes meant pay deductions. Too many deductions meant eviction. The door opened. The entire bar changed. Conversation slowed. Music suddenly felt too loud. Even the air seemed heavier. A tall man stepped inside, dressed in a perfectly tailored black coat that looked older than fashion itself. His presence didn't demand attention, it claimed it. People instinctively moved aside. Elena noticed something else. No reflection shimmered clearly behind him in the mirrored wall. Her breath caught. That's impossible. Rumors flooded her memory, whispers customers shared when drunk. Ancient families. Night royalty. Creatures who ruled cities without governments ever admitting it. Vampires. The man's eyes scanned the room calmly, coldly, like a king inspecting territory already owned. Marcus rushed forward, suddenly polite. "Welcome, sir. Your private booth is ready." The stranger nodded once and sat. Elena tried not to stare. But when she approached his table with a menu, the temperature around him felt noticeably colder. Up close, he looked unreal, pale skin, dark silver eyes, and a stillness that felt older than time itself. "Your order?" she asked softly. His gaze lifted to hers. For one strange moment, the noise of the bar disappeared completely. He studied her, not like men usually did. Not judging. Not hungry. Just curious. "Water," he said calmly. "And whatever you recommend." His voice was deep, controlled, and carried quiet authority. She blinked. Nobody ever asked her opinion. "How special," she said carefully. He inclined his head. As she walked back to the counter, Marcus leaned close. "That's Lord Adrian Vane," he whispered urgently. "You serve him perfectly. No talking. No eye contact unless he speaks." Her stomach tightened. A lord. So the rumors were real. She prepared the drink carefully, but as she reached for the bottle, she noticed something strange. One of the senior bartenders, Victor, slipped a small vial into the glass when he thought no one was watching. Elena froze. Victor quickly stirred the drink and stepped away. Her heart began pounding. What was that? She smelled the glass subtly. Bitter. Metallic. Wrong. Fear crawled up her spine. She looked toward Victor, who avoided her eyes completely. Then she looked at Lord Adrian. He sat calmly, unaware, surrounded by people pretending not to stare at him. Something inside her twisted. She could ignore it. She needed this job. Her family depended on her. Powerful people were dangerous to interfere with. But another thought rose stronger. What if someone is trying to kill him? Her hands trembled. She grabbed a napkin. Quickly she wrote, "Don't drink it. Smile and leave now." Her pulse thundered as she folded it beneath the glass. Every step toward his table felt heavier. She placed the drink down gently. "Our house special," she said. Their fingers almost touched. He looked at her again, that same unreadable curiosity. Then he noticed the napkin. He unfolded it slowly. Elena forced herself to walk away without reacting, her heart racing so loudly she feared others could hear it. Seconds passed. Nothing happened. She dared a glance back. Lord Adrian read the note once, then again. His expression did not change. Instead of leaving, he stood. The entire bar fell silent. He walked directly toward her. Panic surged through Elena. "I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to get fired. Or worse." He stopped inches away. Before she could step back, his hand gently, but firmly, wrapped around her wrist. The touch was cold, impossibly strong. Gasps echoed around them. His silver eyes locked onto hers. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Did you risk your life for mine?" Her throat tightened. I thought someone poisoned your drink." His gaze sharpened instantly. Behind him, Victor suddenly tried to leave through the back door. Lord Adrian didn't even look. "Stay," he said calmly. Victor froze mid-step as if invisible chains held him. Elena's eyes widened. The Vampire King turned back to her, studying her face carefully, searching for something deeper than words. "You knew what I was," he said softly. She hesitated. "Yes. And still warned me." She swallowed. "Everyone deserves a chance to walk away alive." Something changed in his expression then, subtle, almost invisible. For the first time, warmth touched his otherwise cold eyes. A dangerous silence filled the room. Then he spoke words that would change her life forever. "From this moment," Lord Adrian Vane said calmly, "no harm will come to you." The bar erupted into whispers. Elena didn't understand yet. But every powerful being in the city had just witnessed something impossible. The Vampire King had chosen to protect a human girl. And neither of them knew that this single act of kindness would awaken an ancient destiny, one tied not only to his throne, but to her forgotten past. Elena had never experienced silence like this before. The entire bar stood frozen as Lord Adrian Vane's hand remained wrapped around her wrist, not painfully but firmly enough that escape felt impossible. Every customer watched. Every employee stared. And Victor, the bartender who had poisoned the drink, trembled near the exit as though invisible pressure crushed him in place. Elena's heartbeat pounded so loudly she barely heard herself breathe. "I didn't mean to cause trouble," she whispered. Lord Adrian's gaze never left her face. "You prevented an assassination attempt. That is not trouble." His voice remained calm, but something darker moved beneath it, controlled fury. He finally released her wrist, yet the cold imprint of his touch lingered on her skin. "Bring the glass," he said quietly. Marcus hurried forward, shaking, and placed the untouched drink onto the nearest table. Lord Adrian lifted it slightly, examining the liquid without drinking. His expression hardened almost imperceptibly. "Yes," he murmured. "Nightshade extract, mixed with silver ash." Several patrons gasped. Even Elena knew enough vampire lore to understand. Silver ash was deadly to their kind. Victor collapsed to his knees. I was paid," he stammered. "They said it was only a sedative." Lord Adrian didn't raise his voice. That somehow made it worse. "Who?" he asked. Victor hesitated. The lights flickered. The temperature dropped sharply. Glasses along the bar vibrated softly. Elena realized something terrifying. The Vampire King wasn't moving, yet the entire room reacted to his anger. "The Crimson Court," Victor cried finally. "They said you were weakening, that the city needed a new ruler." A murmur spread across the crowd. Political betrayal. Elena suddenly felt very small standing in the middle of something far bigger than she understood. Lord Adrian nodded once as if confirming a suspicion. Two figures dressed in dark suits entered silently from outside. Vampires, Elena realized instantly. Their movements were too precise, too controlled. "Escort him," Adrian ordered. Victor was removed without resistance. The tension slowly eased, but all eyes turned back toward Elena. She wished desperately to disappear. Instead, the Vampire King faced her again. "What is your name?" "Elena," she said softly. "Elena Reyes." He repeated it quietly as if testing how it sounded. "Elena." The way he said her name felt strangely important. "You will come with me." Her stomach dropped. "What?" Marcus immediately stepped forward. "My lord, she has a shift." Adrian's gaze flicked toward him. Marcus stopped speaking instantly. "She is no longer safe here," Adrian said calmly. "Anyone willing to poison me will eliminate witnesses." Elena's chest tightened. "I can't leave," she said quickly. "My family, my job, I need this work." For a moment, something unfamiliar crossed his expression. Understanding. "You believe survival depends on this place," he said quietly. "It does." He studied her worn shoes, her tired posture, the faint bruise near her wrist from carrying heavy crates earlier. "You work to protect others," he observed. She hesitated, surprised. "Yes." A long silence followed. Then he made a decision. "Then allow me to return the kindness you showed me." Before she could argue, he removed his coat and draped it gently over her shoulders. The gesture stunned the entire room. Vampire royalty did not touch humans gently, let alone offer protection publicly. Warmth spread through her despite the coat's cool fabric. "I don't need protection," she insisted weakly. "You do," he replied. "You simply are not accustomed to receiving it." Outside, a sleek black car waited. Elena hesitated at the entrance. Her entire life warned her not to trust powerful men. But another truth settled quietly in her chest. He had asked her name. He had listened. And somehow she felt safer beside the feared vampire king than she ever had inside the crowded bar. She stepped into the car. The city lights blurred past the windows as silence filled the space between them. After several minutes, Adrian spoke. "Why did you truly warn me?" She frowned. "I told you." "That was logic," he said. "I am asking about your heart." Elena looked down at her hands. "When someone is in danger," she said slowly, "and you're the only person who notices, you help. Even if it costs you." He watched her carefully. "Most people protect themselves first." "I don't have the luxury of pretending others will help," she replied quietly. Something softened in his eyes again, deeper this time. As the car passed beneath moonlight, Adrian suddenly stiffened. His gaze dropped to her hand resting against the seat. A faint glow shimmered briefly beneath her skin, so faint Elena didn't notice. But he did. His expression changed completely. Recognition. Impossible realization. He turned toward the driver. "Change route," he ordered sharply. "We are going to the palace." Elena blinked. "Palace?" But he didn't answer. He stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. Not as a bartender. Not as a witness. But as a mystery centuries in the making. And for the first time since entering the bar, the ancient vampire king looked unsettled. Because Elena Reyes carried something no human should possess. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something that could either save his kingdom, or destroy it completely. Elena had imagined many things when she heard the word palace. Golden halls. Royal guards. Maybe something modern and luxurious. She had not imagined a fortress carved into the side of a mountain overlooking the sleeping city like an ancient guardian. The car slowed as towering iron gates opened silently. Moonlight reflected off black stone walls etched with symbols she didn't recognize, symbols that seemed older than language itself. Her breath caught. "This is real?" she whispered. Lord Adrian Vane sat beside her, composed as ever. "It has stood for over 9 centuries. 9 centuries. The number barely felt possible. As the car passed through the gates, Elena noticed figures standing along the pathway, tall silhouettes watching without blinking. Vampires. Every instinct told her she did not belong here. The vehicle stopped before enormous doors that opened before anyone touched them. Servants waited inside, dressed in dark formal attire, heads bowed. The moment Adrian stepped out, the entire hall lowered in respect. "Elena Reyes," he said calmly, offering his hand. She hesitated only a second before taking it. Gasps rippled quietly through the gathered staff. A human touching the vampire king openly was clearly unheard of. Inside, the palace felt alive, candlelight flickering along endless corridors, stained glass windows glowing silver under moonlight, and an overwhelming silence filled with unspoken rules. Elena tried not to stare, but everything felt unreal. "Why am I here?" she asked softly as they walked. "Because someone will try to silence you," Adrian replied. "And because I must understand something." "What?" He paused but didn't answer. Instead, massive doors opened ahead, revealing a circular chamber filled with elegantly dressed vampires. The court. Dozens of ancient eyes turned toward her instantly. Disapproval spread through the room like wildfire. A tall woman with sharp features stepped forward, her expression openly hostile. "My king," she said smoothly, "you bring a human into sacred council chambers?" Adrian's voice remained calm. "Lady Seraphine, your concern is noted." Seraphine's gaze moved to Elena, assessing her like an unwanted object. "She smells mortal," she said coldly. "Fragile. Temporary." Elena felt heat rise in her cheeks but stayed silent. Adrian stepped slightly closer to Elena, subtle, protective. "She saved my life tonight," he said. Murmurs filled the chamber. Seraphine's expression tightened. Humans seek advantage through manipulation. Elena finally spoke, her voice quiet but steady. "I didn't know who he was." The court fell silent. Adrian glanced at her briefly, surprised she answered at all. "She acted without expectation of reward," he added. An older vampire approached slowly, leaning on a silver cane. His eyes, ancient and thoughtful, studied Elena carefully. "May I?" he asked Adrian. Adrian nodded once. The elder stopped before her. "Elena Reyes," he said gently, "do not be afraid." Too late for that, she thought. He lifted her hand lightly. The instant his fingers touched her skin, the room changed. A faint silver glow pulsed beneath her palm. Gasps echoed across the chamber. The elder staggered backward. "Impossible," he whispered. Elena pulled her hand away. "What's happening?" Adrian's jaw tightened. Explain. The elder looked between them, shaken. She carries lunar essence, he said. Ancient energy tied to the first vampire bloodline. The room erupted in shocked voices. That cannot exist in a human. It vanished centuries ago. Seraphine's eyes narrowed dangerously. A deception. Elena's heart raced. I don't understand anything you're saying. Adrian turned toward her slowly. Neither do I, he admitted quietly. The elder continued, voice trembling. Legend says the lunar essence appears only beside the one destined to restore balance between human and vampire worlds. Silence fell again. Elena felt dozens of stares pressing into her. I'm just a bartender, she said weakly. Adrian studied her intensely. No, he said softly. You are something far rarer. Before anyone could respond, a sudden scream echoed from outside the chamber. A guard rushed in. My king, intruders breached the eastern wing. The court instantly shifted into motion. Adrian's expression turned lethal. Assassins, he said. His gaze snapped to Elena. Stay behind me. Fear surged through her as distant sounds of fighting echoed through the palace. Windows rattled. Shadows moved unnaturally along the walls. The attack was not random. Someone knew she was here. And they had come prepared. One assassin burst through the chamber doors, moving faster than human eyes could follow. Adrian stepped forward instantly, faster still. The clash lasted seconds. But during the struggle, a blade coated in glowing silver venom flew toward Adrian from behind. Elena reacted without thinking. Look out. She grabbed his arm. The moment she touched him, a burst of silver light exploded outward. The attacker was thrown across the room as if struck by invisible force. Every vampire froze. Elena released him, shocked. I didn't do that. Adrian stared at her, stunned for the first time since she'd met him. The elder whispered in awe, she amplifies royal power. The realization hit Adrian instantly. She hadn't just saved him once. She had done it again. And now the entire court understood something terrifying. The human girl wasn't merely under the vampire king's protection. She was connected to him in a way ancient prophecy had foretold. Outside, alarms continued ringing through the palace. War had just arrived at their doors. And Elena Reyes had unknowingly become its center. The palace no longer felt beautiful to Elena. It felt dangerous. Hours after the attack, guards filled every corridor, their movements silent but urgent. The elegant calm she had first seen was gone, replaced by tension that pressed against her chest like invisible weight. Servants avoided looking directly at her. Some bowed nervously. Others whispered when they thought she couldn't hear. The human caused it. She brought enemies into the palace. Eliminate the weakness before war begins. Each word cut deeper than she expected. Elena stood alone on a balcony overlooking the city lights below, clutching the railing tightly. Everything in her life had changed in less than a single night. Yesterday she worried about rent. Today supernatural assassins were breaking into royal fortresses because of her. I should leave, she whispered to herself. You would not survive outside these walls. Adrian's voice came from behind her. She turned quickly. He stood a few steps away, coat removed, sleeves rolled slightly, less king, more man. Yet power still surrounded him like gravity. I didn't hear you, she said. Most do not. He walked beside her, gaze moving toward the city. For centuries, he said quietly, this palace has never been breached. Tonight they risked open war. Her stomach tightened. Because of me. Because of fear, he corrected gently. She looked at him. They hate me. They fear what they cannot control. Silence settled between them, softer this time. Elena hesitated before speaking again. You believe that prophecy? Adrian's expression hardened slightly. I believe facts. You amplified my power. No human has ever done that. I don't even know how. That, he said, is why you must remain here. She shook her head. Your court thinks I'm a threat. My court, Adrian replied calmly, has been wrong before. For a moment, vulnerability crossed his face, brief but real. Elena noticed. You don't trust them, she said quietly. I trust loyalty earned, he answered. Not loyalty inherited. Before she could respond, footsteps approached. Lady Seraphine entered the balcony, elegant and composed, though her eyes carried sharp displeasure. My king, she said, bowing slightly. The council requests immediate audience. Her gaze slid toward Elena. Alone. Adrian didn't move. She stays. Seraphine's smile thinned. You endanger tradition. I preserve the future, he replied. The tension between them felt ancient, personal. Seraphine finally turned and left without another word. Elena exhaled slowly. She really doesn't like me. She has served this court for 300 years, Adrian said. Change unsettles her. That's a polite way of saying she wants me gone. A faint hint of amusement touched his expression, the first she had seen. Yes. Despite everything, Elena laughed softly. The sound surprised both of them. For a brief moment, the weight of danger lifted. Adrian studied her carefully. You laugh even now, he observed. If I stop, she said, I think I'll panic. Something in his gaze softened again. You possess unusual resilience. She shrugged. Life doesn't give many choices. A guard suddenly appeared. My king, another incident, training hall disturbance. Adrian frowned. Show me. They entered the training chamber where several vampire warriors stood around shattered stone pillars. One guard explained nervously, residual energy surge detected, similar to earlier. Adrian looked at Elena. Stand here, he instructed gently. She obeyed, confused. Think about protecting someone, he said. What? Do it. Unsure, Elena closed her eyes. She remembered her brother when he was sick. Her mother struggling to breathe. The moment she warned Adrian in the bar. A warm sensation spread through her chest. Suddenly silver light flickered around her hands again, stronger this time. The warrior stepped back instantly. Energy pulsed outward, vibrating through the room. Elena gasped and opened her eyes as the glow faded. I didn't mean. Adrian looked, relieved. It responds to emotion, he said. Not control. The elder scholar from earlier entered slowly. The lunar essence awakens through compassion, he explained. It strengthens the vampire ruler bonded to it. Elena blinked. Bonded? The elder hesitated but said nothing more. Adrian dismissed the guards quietly. When they were alone again, Elena crossed her arms nervously. Everyone keeps talking like I'm part of something bigger. You are? Adrian said. She met his eyes. And what if I don't want to be? For the first time, uncertainty appeared in his expression. Then I will still ensure your safety, he said softly. Not as a king. As a promise. Their eyes held longer than either expected. The air between them shifted, no longer just protector and survivor. Something warmer. Something growing slowly and carefully. But the moment shattered when alarms rang again, louder than before. A messenger rushed in. My king. Members of the court are demanding a vote. A vote for what? Elena asked. The guard hesitated. Seraphine's voice echoed from the doorway. To decide whether the human should be expelled, or executed for endangering vampire sovereignty. Elena's blood ran cold. Adrian's eyes darkened instantly. The room filled with silent power. No one, he said quietly, dangerously, will pass judgment on her. But Elena realized something terrifying. For the first time since she met him. The vampire king might not be able to protect her from his own kingdom. The throne chamber had transformed into a courtroom. Elena felt it the moment she stepped inside. Moonlight poured through towering stained-glass windows, casting silver patterns across black marble floors. Rows of ancient vampires filled the circular hall, their expressions unreadable, their presence heavy with centuries of authority. At the far end stood Adrian's throne, carved from obsidian and silver, but he did not sit. Instead he stood beside Elena. Equal height. Equal presence. A silent declaration that did not go unnoticed. Whispers rippled through the court. She stands beside him. He defies tradition. This is dangerous. Elena's hands trembled slightly, but she kept her chin lifted. Fear still lived inside her, yet something stronger had begun growing over the past hours, determination. She had spent her entire life being underestimated. She would not shrink now. Lady Seraphine stepped forward, her dark gown flowing like shadow. By ancient law, she announced, this council convenes to determine whether the human known as Elena Reyes poses a threat to vampire sovereignty. Her eyes flicked toward Elena. The palace has been attacked twice since her arrival. Evidence suggests her presence attracts instability. Murmurs of agreement spread. Elena swallowed hard. Seraphine continued smoothly, history teaches us that humans fear what they cannot control. They betray what they envy. Allowing one into royal protection risks exposure of our entire world. She turned toward Adrian. My king, step aside and allow impartial judgment. Adrian's voice was calm but immovable. I will not. The chamber fell silent. Seraphine's expression tightened. You would place personal sentiment above the kingdom? I place truth above fear, he replied. She gestured toward Elena. Then let the human speak for herself. All eyes turned to Elena. Her throat felt dry, but she stepped forward. I didn't ask to be here, she began quietly. I didn't know vampires existed until yesterday. A few scoffs echoed. She continued anyway. I worked at a bar to pay medical bills. I warned him because someone was about to die. That's all. Her voice strengthened. If helping someone makes me dangerous, then maybe the problem isn't me. The chamber grew still. Even some council members leaned forward slightly. Seraphine's gaze sharpened. And yet assassins followed you here. Elena hesitated. I don't know why, she admitted. But I do know this, I've spent my whole life powerless. If I wanted to hurt anyone, I wouldn't have saved the most powerful person in the room. A quiet ripple moved through the court. The elder scholar stepped forward slowly. My king, permission to present findings. Adrian nodded. The elder raised an ancient scroll. Records confirm the lunar essence appears only once every millennium, beside a ruler facing internal betrayal. The word betrayal echoed heavily. He continued, the essence does not create danger. It reveals hidden enemies. The room erupted into shocked murmurs. Seraphine's composure faltered for the first time. That is speculation, she argued sharply. Is it? Adrian asked quietly. He stepped forward, eyes sweeping across the court. The poison attempt came from within our ranks. The palace attack targeted me, not her. Perhaps the true threat has always sat among us. Tension thickened instantly. Suddenly, one council member near the back began moving toward the exit. Too quickly. Adrian's voice cut through the chamber. Stop. The vampire froze. Guards surrounded him immediately. Under pressure, the council members snarled, composure breaking. You've ruled too long, Adrian. The old ways weaken us. Humans multiply while we hide in shadows. Gasps filled the hall. Seraphine stared at him in disbelief. You were part of this? He laughed bitterly. Not alone. Before anyone could react, he lunged toward Elena, drawing a concealed silver blade. Everything happened in seconds. Elena froze. Guards were too far. But Adrian moved faster than thought itself. He stepped between them, grabbing the attacker's arm, yet the blade still cut across his shoulder, silver venom burning instantly. The chamber exploded into chaos. Eliminate him, guards shouted. The traitor was subdued, but Elena barely noticed. Adrian staggered slightly. Silver poison spread rapidly across his skin. No, she whispered. Fear unlike anything she had ever felt surged through her. Without thinking, she grabbed him. The moment her hands touched his chest, brilliant silver light burst outward, brighter than before, filling the entire chamber. Warmth flooded through her body. Energy surged between them like a living current. The poison marks began fading. Gasps echoed everywhere. The elder fell to his knees. The bond, it has awakened. The light slowly faded. Adrian stood steady again, wound healed. Alive because of her. Elena pulled back, shaking. I didn't mean to. But the court was no longer looking at her with suspicion. They looked at her with awe. And fear. Seraphine lowered her gaze slowly. The prophecy, she whispered. Adrian turned toward the council, voice carrying undeniable authority. The human you sought to judge has saved your king twice and exposed treachery within our ranks. He stepped beside Elena again. She is under my protection, not as a guest. He paused. The entire chamber held its breath. But as one bound to my fate. Elena's heart skipped. She didn't fully understand what that meant. But she felt it, the invisible connection between them growing stronger with every shared danger. And deep down, she realized something even more frightening. She no longer wanted to leave. The palace did not sleep that night. News of the trial spread through every corridor, every tower, every hidden passage beneath the mountain. Guards doubled their patrols, nobles whispered behind closed doors, and ancient alliances trembled under a truth no one had expected. A human girl had healed the vampire king. Elena stood alone in a quiet chamber overlooking the moonlit city, trying to understand how her life had changed so completely. Just days ago she carried drink trays and counted tips to buy groceries. Now an entire supernatural kingdom debated her existence. Her hands rested against the window glass. They still faintly tingled with warmth. You should be resting. Adrian's voice came softly from behind her. She turned. He looked different tonight, not weaker but more human somehow. The cold distance she first noticed in him had softened, replaced by something thoughtful, almost vulnerable. "How are you feeling?" she asked immediately. A small smile touched his lips. "You saved me. Again. I believe I am recovering well." She exhaled in relief. Silence settled between them, comfortable but heavy with unspoken emotions. Finally, Elena spoke. "They called it a bond." "Yes. And what does that mean?" Adrian walked closer, stopping just beside her. "For centuries," he said quietly, "vampire rulers ruled through strength alone. But ancient texts speak of balance, power guided by compassion. The lunar essence appears only when a king risks losing his humanity." She frowned slightly. "And me?" "You are the balance," he said simply. The words made her heart race. "I'm not special," she whispered. "I just try to help people." "That," Adrian replied gently, "is precisely why you are." Before she could respond, the chamber doors burst open. A guard rushed inside, breathless. "My king, Lady Seraphine requests emergency audience. We have discovered the mastermind behind the attacks." Adrian's expression hardened instantly. "Bring her." Moments later, Seraphine entered, but she no longer carried arrogance. Her posture was tense, conflicted. "We were wrong," she said quietly. "The court advisor who had attacked earlier had revealed everything before being taken away. The Crimson Court rebellion was funded by an external faction," she continued. "An ancient vampire house exiled centuries ago. They believed your compassion toward humans made you weak." Adrian's eyes darkened. "And their leader?" Seraphine hesitated. "He is already inside the palace." The lights flickered. A slow clap echoed through the chamber. A tall figure stepped from the shadows, pale, elegant, smiling coldly. "Still predictable, Adrian," the stranger said. Elena felt instant danger radiate from him. "Lord Malrek," Adrian said quietly, recognition heavy in his voice. "My former advisor," Malrek replied smoothly. "I merely wish to restore the natural order. Fear rules better than kindness." Guards moved forward, but Malrek raised a hand, stopping them with invisible force. His gaze shifted toward Elena. "So this is the human who weakened you." Elena's fear surged, yet she didn't step back. "She strengthened him," Seraphine said firmly, surprising everyone, including herself. Malrek laughed. "Exactly the problem." Energy gathered around him, dark and violent. "You were meant to rule forever, Adrian. Untouchable. Instead, you protect mortals." He attacked. Shadow-like energy shot toward the king. Adrian stepped forward instantly, but Malrek's power struck faster than expected, slamming him backward. "Elena, stay back," Adrian commanded. But she saw something others didn't. Adrian wasn't losing because he was weaker. He was holding back, protecting the palace from destruction. Elena's chest tightened. All her life she had been powerless while others suffered. Not this time. She stepped forward. "I'm not afraid of you," she said. Malrek smirked. "You should be." He launched another attack, straight toward her. Instinct took over. Elena reached for Adrian's hand. The moment their fingers intertwined, radiant silver light exploded outward, brighter than anything before. Warmth flooded the chamber. The darkness shattered instantly. Malrek staggered, shocked. "Impossible." The light grew stronger, fueled not by anger, but by trust. By protection. By choice. Adrian realized the truth at the same moment. "The bond responds to unity," he whispered. Together they stepped forward. The combined power overwhelmed Malrek, forcing him to his knees as guards restrained him. The threat ended not through domination, but cooperation. Silence filled the chamber. Every vampire present understood what had happened. Strength alone had failed. Kindness had won. Later, as dawn approached, the court gathered once more. Seraphine stepped forward, bowing deeply toward Elena. "The council withdraws all accusations," she declared, "and recognizes Elena Reyes as protector of the crown." Murmurs turned into respectful bows. Elena looked overwhelmed. "I never wanted titles," she said softly. Adrian turned toward her. "Then accept something else." He stepped closer, voice gentle but certain. "You changed a kingdom simply by refusing to ignore someone in danger. You reminded me what it means to lead, not through fear but through compassion." He extended his hand. "Stay. Not because prophecy demands it, but because I am asking." Her heart pounded. For the first time she saw not a king, but a man who trusted her completely. Elena smiled softly and placed her hand in his. "I'll stay," she said. "But only if this kingdom learns to protect everyone, human or vampire." A faint smile appeared in Adrian's eyes. Then we will build that future together. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the horizon, a new beginning for both worlds. The poor bartender who once felt invisible had become the bridge between two species. Not through power. Not through destiny. But through one simple choice. Kindness when it mattered most. And from that night forward, the Vampire King was no longer feared as a ruler of darkness alone. He became known as the king who chose humanity, because a human girl once chose to save him first.